Hi guys, I'm Nosipho Zungu. This is my podcast past partner Akhona and Nosipho. We are discussing Maru, Bessie Head.
Join us as we critically analyze the love triangle in Maru as an allegory of post-colonial betrayal and power relations that resemble those of the colonizer and the colonized, while focusing on the themes of gender, race, identity, power, and control.
Firstly, let's discuss the characters that we will use on our podcast. Akhona, can you please tell us the characters that we'll focus on for our podcast?
Okay, Nosipho, for our podcast, we're going to be focusing on 3 characters. We're going to be focusing on Margaret Cadmore Jr., Moleka, and Maru. We'll first start by discussing Margaret Cadmore Jr. She was a Masarwa girl, seen as inferior in her society. She was adopted by a white woman, but we're going to reference to her as Margaret Sr. and trained to be a teacher. Her identity was constantly being shaped by others. Then we move on to Moleka. Moleka was a very kind and emotional guy. He truly cared for Margaret and loved Margaret, but he is afraid to go against or challenge societal norms. Then we have Maru. Maru, which is the future chief and a very intelligent but yet controlling guy. He uses Margaret as a tool to reshape society under his control. Okay, now let's dive deeper into the novel. The love triangle in Bessie Head Maru is between Moleka, Maru, and Margaret. It functions as a powerful allegory for post-colonial betrayal and the ongoing patriarchal structures of power that echo colonial dynamics. By weaving together the themes of race and gender, Head creates a narrative that critiques not only external colonization but also internalized oppression and the betrayal of ideas within post-colonial societies.
Now, let us wrap up into the theme of gender as it is portrayed in the novel. The theme of gender is central to understanding the allegory. Let's start by Margaret, a Masarwa woman who is double oppressed by her race and gender. Margaret is the object of both Maru's and Moleka's affections, but her subjectivity is repeatedly subordinated to their desires and machinations, which means that Margaret is at the center between Maru and Moleka's. So Maru decides to marry Margaret, but it is not a post-colonial union. It is a political act that symbolizes the potential for racial harmony and the liberation of the Masarwa people. Margaret is representing the Masarwa people in the story. She is the woman that she faces more challenges than other people in the story. Her marriage life crushes her dignity and self-confidence, which is more like that of Masarwa's life than Maru's life. As we know that Masarwas in the novel are treated as slaves, they are not allowed to do anything because they are being oppressed, as they are living in the society that is oppressed, that is living under the apartheid rules. Okay, this highlights that the experience of the colonized who are promised liberation but often find themselves under new forms of domination.
Okay, Nosipho, I heard you saying something about apartheid. So now I have a question for you. Is it really apartheid or is it coloniality?
Oh, Akhona, sorry, I made a mistake. It's coloniality. Sorry for that. Now let us wrap up into the theme of race as it is portrayed in the novel. This theme is particularly portrayed through Margaret as a representative of Masarwa people in the Dilepe village, and she also faces an internalized oppression and internalized racism in Listening School where she teaches. In Dilepe village and Liseting school, they take Masawas as slaves because of their race. The theme of race is portrayed when Maru treats all Masawas in the Dilepe village in a different way. Especially Margaret, who is a Masawa teacher. She marginalizes her when he tells Mulega to fetch the bed from her because she is a Masawa. She must sleep on the hard floor for the rest of her life. But he will not marry a Pambal doll. This symbolizes that Maru was not liking Masawas as he continued to treat them as slaves. By fetching a bed, he want Margaret Cadmore to sleep in the floor while Mulega purchased a bed for her so that she will feel at home. But because Maru want her to be treated as slaves because of the societal pressures that she must face in the Dilepe, Maru marginalized Margaret by telling her that she must be the Masawa who is causing trouble in the village. However, Mulega challenges the societal pressures by sitting with Masawas in the table where a Masawa eats, and then he took up his fork and placed a mouthful of food in the mouth of Masawa, then with the same fork himself. Therefore, people in the village also challenges racism by saying that prejudice is the old skin of a snake. It has to be removed bit by bit.
Okay, as I had stated when we first started with the podcast that we're going to be discussing the themes of power, identity, control, gender, and race. I'm going to be taking the parts with this focusing on the themes of power, identity, and control. The themes of power and identity and control, they're mostly portrayed through our three main characters, which is Margaret Cadmore, Moleka, and Maru. The theme of power is mostly portrayed through Maru's character. Maru uses his power to control the people and outcomes like a game. For example, he uses Margaret to see how people will react to having a Masarwa woman for a queen. Mostly, Maru uses his power to control certain situations and events in the Dilepe village. He also uses his power to inflict pain on Margaret for being a Masarwa woman. For example, when he decides to tell Moleka to go fetch the bed from the bed that he had given Margaret, it shows that Moleka uses his power to cause pain to Margaret for being a Masarwa. For
Maru uses his power,
Yes, he uses his power to inflict pain on Margaret for being a Masarwa woman. That shows that through Maru we can see the theme of power, because he has the highest authority in Dilepe village, so he can control
everything in the village and everyone
and every outcome,
especially Masawa's people.
Yes, especially when it comes to Margaret. Then we move on to the theme of identity. The theme of identity is mostly portrayed through all the three characters, especially Margaret Cadmore. Margaret's identity is constantly shaped by others. For example, she is raised by a white woman formerly known as Margaret Sina. She is seen as dirty and less because she is a Masarwa woman in the Dilepe village.
Remember when Mulega Maru or Mulega? Remember okay, Akhona. Remember when Mulega sent a 14-year-old boy to go and disturb Margaret while she was teaching, because she is a Masarwa. The older 14 boy tell her why she is a teacher, because she is a Masarwa. So in the Dilepe village, Masawas are treated as, they are marginalized. They are not treated as peoples.
Yes. Furthermore, to what Nosipho has also said, her identity also shapes her love
Triangle.
her love life or love triangle, if I should say. For example, Moleka loves Margaret, but he hides the love he has for her because he is scared to challenge societal norms. He's scared of pursuing whatever he has for Margaret because he hides his feelings for her, and he keeps on seeing her at night because he is scared of being seen with the Masarwa woman. Therefore, her identity keeps on shaping everything and everyone around her. Furthermore, Maru claims to love Margaret, but he just wants to use her to fulfill his
desires.
Yes, he fulfill his desires because he doesn't have that love that Moleka has for her. He just has, I would say, he's just paternalistic. He just wants to prove that he can make a Masarwa woman a queen. That's all he needs Margaret for. He uses her identity to fulfill his needs or desires. And then we also have the theme of control. In the theme of control, it's shown through the character of Maru. Maru controls the love triangle between him, Moleka, and Margaret. He has something called like some powers, I would say artistic powers. He uses those powers to get Margaret to be with him, and he uses those powers to make Moleka question whether he truly has feelings for Margaret, yes or no. So through his powers, through his artistical powers, he controls the situation between the three of them, and he ends up getting away with Margaret. Even though he wants to change, because throughout the novel he makes himself look like he wants to change the way he is, but he still has his controlling abilities, and he uses those controlling abilities to persuade his own personal agendas. Yes. In conclusion, the love triangle between Maru, Moleka, and Margaret is not just about romance, but it shows how leaders use people to gain power. Moleka's love is genuine, but he fails to persuade Margaret because he's scared of defying societal norms. Maru, on the other hand, betrays Margaret because he uses the word love to persuade his own personal aims. Thank you.
Thank you.
This was all we had for our podcast today. I hope you guys enjoy. From me, Akhona Nosipho, and my partner Nosipho Zungu. Goodbye.
Goodbye.